Hey there, how's it going? I'm Brian Pickle, and we are back for part 15 of Pickleton, our City Skylines 2 beginner Let's Play series. So, while I go ahead and give a little bit of an intro of what we're going to get into today, I thought I'd leave you with a nice little scenic drive. People seem to really enjoy it from the last episode of the downtown, so I thought I would incorporate it a little bit more and give you something to watch while I chit chat. So, what we're going to do today is finally build an airport. Now, this is something that I have put off for a very, very long time in all iterations of City Skylines because I am so terrible at them. But we're going to go ahead and give it a shot, and we're going to go back over to the downtown area, and in that nice empty space where we have our tram depot and our subway depot, we're going to build an airport. So if you find airports to be equally intimidating, leave a like below to let me know I'm not alone. Otherwise, enjoy this short little introduction, and I'll meet you over there to get us started. Alright, so here we are going to start things off getting our airport in. So, what we need to do first, obviously, is decide where we want to put it. And there are a couple things to take into consideration when you are placing this asset. First of all, it's pretty freaking big, so it's going to need a good amount of space. So I thought that this area would be pretty good because it's also close to the downtown, likely a place where tourists visiting from out of town would want to go, and things of that nature. So it's close to that, so they don't have to travel too far from the airport itself to get to those places. And also just because it's a nice, big, empty space that we haven't gotten into yet. So, I had thought about putting it in this area here, simply because there's really not much else use that this area would be good for. Just because it's really close to this massive interchange, you have the train line coming through and whatnot. So, I considered this area, but it's also just not exactly where I want it for my own personal reasons. And so we might use this for something else, but probably some like industrial uses, I would imagine. But so what I've decided is, and now if you know whether or not this is true, or if you've heard something like this, or know why this is, and can verify whether this is true, please leave it in the comments below. But I read this deep in the comment section of a City Skylines 1 Facebook page many, many, many moons ago. But something, and I don't know if this was, I think they were alluding to the fact that this is specifically done in the United States, but this might be done elsewhere. I have no idea. I did look into a little bit and was able to find some evidence that this happens, but not extensively. But anyway, what it is that apparently sometimes, oh, we hit another milestone, so we'll talk about that in a minute. Apparently sometimes airlines or airports or whatever will buy property where there are oil fields, and then they can actually use the oil themselves to fuel their planes for cheap, so they don't have to buy their own fuel, they can just source it themselves. So since we have this oil field here, I thought this might actually be a pretty good place for it to go as well. So that's what I'm thinking here. So I'm thinking that we'll put it somewhere along here. So what we need to do, obviously, is buy some tiles. So let's do that really fast. Now, I've bought probably a little bit more than we need, but that we have plenty of them, so I'm not too worried about it. And we just got a new milestone, so we have even more. So really quickly, we'll just go over the milestone. There's not much to go over. We just got an increased loan limit. And then more development points, expansion permits, etc. And again, since quite a while now, that's all we get for new milestones, is just more money and more development points and things. So, not much to go over there. It does remind me, though, that I can't remember if I actually repaid our loan that we took. I did. Okay. So when I took out a loan for the downtown, I did eventually repay that just off camera. So, all set there. Just wanted to make sure we're not paying for loans for no reason. Okay, so what we're going to need to do before we actually place it is level out a little bit of some area here. So I was going to originally try to keep this little pond as part of the asset or part of like the complex, but it was really just kind of getting in the way. So we're just gonna have to get rid of it all. So we're gonna flatten this area out, and then I'll smooth things out as we do afterwards. So let's start with this, and we can go through and smooth out the edges a little bit already. And it'll all come together as usual when we're all finished. So let's let's grab the actual asset itself. Oh, I need to unlock it first. There we go. So let's go into development points, and then into our transportation, then air, and unlock for 4 points. So it's not super expensive as far as that goes. As far as the development points go, the asset itself is, I'm pretty sure, quite expensive. Let's see, it is $750,000. So yeah, and the upkeep is $100,000 a month, but we are making plenty of money right now, so it's not really an issue at all. So what I want to do now is turn on our resources view while we have the asset, so that I can kind of align it with our oil field over here. So I want to make sure that I'm getting the right side of it where I want it. So I think if we do it right about here should do. So we'll go with that. And then let's see how the terrain kind of works. So it looks like we're doing okay. I can smooth it out a little bit, but the asset fits in there just fine, and everything is kind of smooth where it needs to be completely smooth. So we're good here. Now what I would like to do is get our road frame for here set up. So in our roads, we're going to go to 3-lane one-way roads, and we'll drag it from one end to the other, basically. So right where the entry point is, we'll drag it from there out to the end of this entry point. And I want to keep it the same. So I want the little lip on the one side and then the same thing on the other. That way we can make sure that the distance is equal on either side of these, on either side of those entry points, if that makes sense. So now what I want to do is place a parking lot, and mostly just because I want to use this to measure things. I want to make sure that the parking lot fits in the middle here. And I think I want it a little bit wider than that. So what I'll do is grab just a regular road, and I want to drag out about 6 units. So that should be, 6. So 6 squares. And then that's kind of just for measuring purposes. We'll close this out with our one-way roads. Kind of get them to join up with the existing ones. There and there. Then we'll get rid of that little guy there. And then with our continuous tool, what we'll do is we'll take from one end. We'll drag out at 180 degrees. And then we'll click once, left click. And then if we just pull it to where we want it to go, it'll make that nice, perfectly round circle for us. And then we want to make sure that the angles in both corners are at 90 degrees. So that way it's like a perfect circle. And we'll worry about the directionality of the roads in just a bit. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. Pull out straight, left click once, and then make sure that our angles are at 90 degrees. So there we are. Then with our upgrade tool, we can go through and make sure that this is all facing the right direction. And in through the middle here. Cool. So then what we want to do is we're going to move this just a smidge, and we'll go like this. And then from here, we'll take a 2-lane one-way road. And I think we'll just have it run right along the parking lot. So at 90 degrees, and then we'll cut it into this other road, just like that. And then make sure that the directions are facing the way that we want to. So we'll have this go in here. Now, for this particular design, I was very much inspired by City Planner Plays' most recent episode, where he did a similar layout for kind of his area in his beginner's guide for airports. Which is a great series. I've really enjoyed that one, and his Magnolia County one. One of my favorites right now to watch. But typically that is something that you see in airports, because you usually have kind of a drop-off area, and that's where this area would be where people are just going to drop passengers off at the airport. They're not staying. They're just going to continue on. And then in this area, that's where people would go to long-term park and things like that. So if you're leaving your car and then going to the airport, you would take this road to get in. So we're going to have to do some interesting little things to make sure that people actually use this road as intended. But I think if we just don't connect it up in any other way, it should be fine. But I don't think I love it just being right on that road. Just because I don't want people loading on and off of it. So we're actually going to redo this a smidge and back off some of this stuff. And we're going to move this road out just a little bit further. Okay, so I needed it just a little bit further out, so I went ahead and adjusted it again. So we'll go ahead and we'll move this back this way. Now what I want to do is grab some alleyway roads. Yes, I want alleyway roads, and what I want to do is go ahead and put one flat right across the front, like this. And then with one ways, I want one going, of course, out, and then one going in. Yes, I want them to go in a circle. I don't want this to be in and that out. I think that's how I would like it. So we're gonna go with that, and then what I want to do is just draw out a little bit more this way, and I want to put another one of these. So we'll go back into parking, and then very large parking lot, and then draw out with our alleyways a little bit this way again. And I want to kind of move these so that they're a little bit more centralized. So I think like that and like this. Now they're kind of right in the middle. I wish they were the same color, but we'll make do. So now they're kind of right in the middle of each of these kind of entryways. And I'm trying to think. I think I'm okay with them being cul-de-sacs like that. I think I'm okay with that. So we'll just, let's see, we'll make a little node right here so that I can delete this little edge piece. And then we'll do the same thing over here. And I think that works nicely because they come in from one side and then it looks like they go out from another already anyway. So they wouldn't really need to be turning around, I guess. I think they can turn left in here, no problem. They don't have to make a U-turn and then turn in. But we'll keep an eye on it. But otherwise, I'm not super concerned about it. This will function. They'll be able to get in here and everything, and it'll be fine. So we'll leave the rest of like what... There's a couple other things that we need to do with this to make it function the way that I want it to. But it should be mostly okay for now. So we're going to leave that for a second. And then what I want to do is upgrade this road. And I think we'll keep it a 4-lane road for most of the way. And we'll take it out as far as it'll go for now. We'll just keep it going straight out this way. And then I kind of want to line up with our other roads that we have here, or like sort of in the middle. I want to have a one-way system going in and out of here as well. So with our 2-lane roads, I think we can do is have, let's go, wish we could draw over roads to measure them. We'll go about 3 units out, and we'll draw one this way, and we'll do the same thing from this side. 3 units out. And then we'll switch the directions like that. Okay, so what I've done here is measured out a certain distance, because while I was testing things, that's how far it was. So from here, from this street here, from like the actual entry road into the airport to here is 456 meters, but unless you're trying to follow along specifically, which God help you if you are, because that would probably be very difficult to follow along with what I've been doing here through the whole city. But what I want to do, the only reason why is because I've measured it and everything functioned and fit, so I want to try to keep it that way again. So we're just going to draw out a 4-lane road here, and I'll make a little node just so I can get rid of the extra pieces here. And get rid of that. Whoops, my bad. Press play as well. And so what I want to do now is grab our one-way roads, and I want to make a U-turn, a roundabout. So what we're going to do is grab our continuous tool again, like we did kind of over here. And we'll turn off snap to zoning cell length so we can get right in the middle of this street. And we'll draw out at a 90-degree angle and create our curve. And now we want it to be pretty decently big because there's going to be a couple different roads all coming into this. More than just, I think probably more than 4, but we'll see long term how it'll be. But they're not going to be at perfect 90-degree angles on the circle. So we want to make it big enough so that the nodes don't sort of conflict. So we want to try to keep our 90-degree angles as well. And I think this is probably a decent size here. And so then we'll do the same thing, keep our 90-degree angles. Oh, whoops. I forgot with the continuous tool, you have to like reset it if you want to do it this way. Because otherwise it just draws out another road. So we'll do 180 again and make sure our 90-degree angles are in and complete the circle. But that does not look great at all. So we'll try that again. I wonder what exactly went wrong here. So we'll draw out 180 degrees. And that is significantly better. So there we go. Happy with that. And then what we want to do is knock this guy back a touch. And with our, let's see, you know what? I might upgrade this whole thing to be 6-lane and then we can downgrade it as we want. So we'll do this. And then we'll bring it into the circle with a little bit of a curve. So we'll go just a regular curve, I think should be fine, like a simple one. And we'll just draw out a little ways and then curve just right into it like that. And then with these roads, we'll connect them to this 4-lane one. So with our 2-lane roads, we'll come out from here. And let's turn all of our snapping back on. And we want our complex curve because we want to make a little S-bend here. So we'll draw out until like it looks like a little eyeball, I guess, because that'll be our 6 units. And then we'll drag into until we meet up with this one, and then we'll connect them. And then we want to do the same thing on this side as well. So out by hopefully a nice good 6 units, and then in over here. And those look slightly off center, but I'm really not going to be bothered by it. So we'll just work with that. Now what I want to do is get a slip road, a one-way road coming from here. And what I want to do is have it hook into this one-way system and completely bypass the roundabout. So coming from here, we'll see if we can make a nice little curve in like this. And then what I'm thinking is, I'm wondering whether or not we want these to be one-ways or 2. 2 lanes or 1. I guess if we upgrade this to 3, that would make more sense. So we'll do that. And we'll figure out that side in a minute. But for now, what we want to do is fix the lane kind of math here. So we have our 6 lanes here, but one of them will peel off. So we don't need 6 continuing on into the roundabout. So let's get rid of these things just so I can see. They might replace when I replace the roads, but we'll see what happens. So then I want to grab our medium roads and our 5-lane asymmetric road. And I want to turn off all the snapping so I can get these to align perfectly. I think we'll do that. Turn our snapping back on, and I can reverse the direction. So, and now I want to actually wiggle them around a little bit so that they line up properly now that it's going in the right direction. So we'll do this. And then from here, we can go down to a 4-lane road, I think. And then from here, we can find a point where we like to downgrade it back into a 4-lane road. And we want to keep it centered so that the extra lanes kind of go where you would expect them to. Like this. Like that. That way you get like the extra lane coming, and then it goes off, and then it goes back down to one lane, and, etc. And then through here, I guess we could probably actually use the asymmetric one as well, because we don't need that third lane. So let's see if I can get that to work. There we go. So now the slip lanes kind of go off exactly how you would want them to. And then we can go ahead and downgrade the rest of this back into a 4-lane road. So we'll turn our snapping back on, and hopefully we can just get this to line up properly. There we go. And I want to move some of this stuff as well eventually, so I'm not too concerned if I have to move this. But it looks like we got it to work either way with the road, so we're good there. And then what we want to do is get an arterial road coming off from this end as well. So we'll take it just kind of essentially off in this direction. See if our contour lines what's going on here, because I don't want anything weird going on. I'm so used to looking for it over here, like where it used to be in City Skylines 1. So I think kind of good with it kind of going off in that general direction, like that. And then what we want to do is get this other side hooked up into this road. So let's grab our 1-lane, 1-way roads again with our continuous tool. And we want to try to keep it lined up with this one. So from about here, we'll take it kind of out to the roundabout and around. Get a nice, it doesn't have to be perfectly mirrored and symmetrical, but as long as it looks something similar, I think I'm okay with it. Let's see if we can get it a little bit better. I might have lied. I might actually want it to be perfectly symmetrical. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be, because the rest isn't perfectly symmetrical, but as close as possible would be fabulous. And I think that's the best. I think that's the best we're probably going to get with that. So I'm okay with that. Now what we want to do is kind of work on the lane situation going from this one. So let's see. I think what we need is our asymmetric road going this direction, so that this lane goes kind of right into a brand new one and then eventually merges back down. But we might want a little bit of more merge room, so I think I'll have it go out just like one more segment. And it looks like I'm going to have to turn off the snapping to get this where I want it. And there we go. Now maybe since I've added that extra lane, I might be able to get this curve in just a little bit smoother. But we'll see. We'll see. If it doesn't work better this time, I'm going to leave it. I promise. I'm not going to go nuts with it today. And maybe if I come from the other direction first, if I come from this way. I swear, just this one last attempt, and then I promise I will leave it. And then we'll switch the directions back around, and hopefully that'll be good. Yeah, see, I like that much better. It looks so much more smooth that way. Okay, so the very last thing that we want to do is kind of adjust how the lanes work and kind of go over everything and make sure that everybody's going in the directions that we want them to. So when I was testing this, I kind of had these lanes going all the way through. And then I realized that most likely what would happen is the radio would turn on and annoy me. Most likely what would happen is that people would ignore this road entirely, or ignore this road entirely. Like if they wanted to park, they would come in here and they would just never use this road for like anything basically. And they wouldn't follow around the circle. They would just cut through this area to get back out. And I want them to go all the way around. So if you're wondering like why I've kept it so that it's not all connected in and this is cul-de-sac, that's why. I don't want people cutting off of Green Street, it looks like, onto Laurel Street and then just exiting the airport. So that's why I've done that. Now, another thing that we don't want is we don't want people parking on the streets. So what we're going to do is go into our road services tools, and we're going to add wide sidewalks to every single road. Now, you don't have to do it to the 3-lane ones because the wide sidewalk essentially takes up that third lane. So if there's already a third lane there, you don't need one. So, but you do need to add them to both sides of the street. So now people cannot park here. So we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, so I decided actually, instead of doing wide sidewalks, I would make it look a little bit nicer, and I upgraded them with trees instead. Though I did forget this middle section here, so we'll do that really fast. Now, instead of gray, ugly sidewalks, we have nice tree-lined pathways coming kind of into the airport. And then within, I will do my own sort of decorating later, so I'm not worried about these looking, overly beautiful. On the inside of it, but just coming into it, I think that would be nice to have it look much nicer. Now what we need to do is go and get rid of things like this. We don't want lights. We don't want all these lights, and we don't want a lot of these crosswalks. This would be a very stupid place for a pedestrian to be walking. So we're going to get rid of all of that. So I'll go ahead and time lapse through that as well. So that should be all of, oh, nope, I missed one over here, of course. Okay, one more light. There we go. Okay, so now that should be all of the lights that I don't want removed. So everything through here looks okay. Everything through here looks okay. Realistically, there shouldn't be very many people going straight through here. So I'm not worried that there's not a light here. Realistically, they're going to come out. They're not going to make a complete circle at any point. Ideally, that would not be how things go, but in real life, I mean, at the airport that I go to, I frequently circle the airport waiting to pick somebody up, because the parking people do not let you park for any the security people do not let you park for more than 30 seconds. So I frequently make circles in mine, but realistically, the traffic AI in the game is not going to let them do that, or there'd be no reason for them to. So the only lights that I left in are here where there's these crosswalks, because realistically, like, people coming in from the parking here would want a nice protected way to get across this road. So I think that would be realistic and something that definitely exists at the airport near me. There's a couple little lights that are mostly just for pedestrians to cross into, like, taxi pickup places and things of that nature. So, and while this would definitely be a good place to put some public transit, I'm currently holding off on adding any more public transit to places until we build out the city a little bit more, and I plan to redo all of our transit lines in the city. So that's why I'm not going to worry about, like, placing buses or taxis or things like that in here right now. But I have the space and, the lanes to support it when we do. But I think realistically, the city needs a complete transit line overhaul. So I'm just not going to bother with adding that into here just yet. But before we go into sort of like a detailing time lapse while I make this area look really, really nice, we're going to check out the upgrades. So one thing that we want to do is put on parking, because we don't want people parking here so much. We want people using these instead. And I'm okay with charging them for them. That would be realistic, paying for parking at an airport. But to park in the fancy lot here, you would have to pay $50. So let's see. We have the business lounge, which we're going to add, because there's really just no reason not to. We have the money. It provides boosts to the city. It's really not going to break the bank for us, so we're going to do it. And then a cargo terminal probably would be a good idea, but I don't need to add it right now. We definitely have the space for it over here, so I'm not concerned about it at the moment. And I don't feel like dealing with trains anymore today. So we're not going to do that. And then we'll do the airport services, because that is just in the building. We don't need to worry about it. And again, we have the money. we might as well make it as nice as possible. And I just realized I forgot even more lights. We definitely don't want these here either. So let's go ahead and get rid of those on all of this and over here and the lights. Because we want this area to be as free-flowing as possible. So I think we've definitely achieved that. And in a very counterintuitive way, I'm going to remove all of these trees and then do kind of my own detailing. So let's jump into the detailing time lapse. couple things. I forgot to actually put any lines in our airport. So we need to do that really fast before we leave for today. So in the transportation menu, if you just go to the airplanes and do our passenger airplane tool, so it works basically the same as all the other ones do. If you just grab from one of these little icons and then you take it out to whatever outside connection you would like to go to. And I'm trying to figure out like ones that we have nothing in yet, like an area that we have not been to yet at all. So over here is going to be a good one. So we'll just go ahead and complete the route there. And I guess we'll just do one more out to this one because we have routes from different cargo and passenger things going to basically all the rest of the corners of this area. So I think we're good there. And that's really it. So as far as like making lines and stuff, if you have the cargo route, which only happens if you upgrade, the airport with the cargo train terminal, then you'll have access to those and they'll be over in this area. It works the same way. Just click and all right, so that is going to do it for today's episode. Clearly, I have decided to go slightly modded for the rest of this series. I was trying to detail this area up, and all of these bushes were just absolutely killing me. I couldn't do it anymore. So I did download the line tool, and I think the only other mod that I have installed that isn't just like a dependency mod is the legacy flavor mod. So, which I haven't actually used quite yet, but my wrists were just my wrist was killing me after trying to do even just a tiny bit of this. So I went ahead and I did install that mod. So we're officially slightly modded here. Very lightly modded. We're gonna stick to quality of life mods. I don't want any game-changing things going on. Anything that changes the functionality of the game is not what I'm here for. Just for things to make my life a little bit easier and things a little bit more exciting for you guys to look at when it's finished. Because this area was terrible before I went and installed the mod. Just because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it anymore. So it looked very bare and very ugly. And I mean, it still looks pretty bare just because of the baby trees and stuff around that I cleared out. But it's already looks so much better than it did before, I promise you. Anyway, I know that this also is not actually the international airport, but I don't care. I don't think I'm going to put the international airport in, at least not anytime soon. So, and this is plenty big enough for an international airport. The international airport where I live only has one runway, so you don't need to have one that has two. And so I went with like Pickleton International Airport. I wish you could tell that this was a hill until you actually get down close and look at it. But I thought that would be kind of neat. You see similar things like that at big airports. I want to say LAX has a big like circle with LAX written in, bushes and things like that. I want to say that that's a thing, but don't quote me. I've never been. But I swear I've seen it on TV like that anyway. So, yeah. But that's it. All I did was add like a nice bit of bush detailing around everything. I have all the roads are kind of how I want them to be, with crossings where I do and do not want them. So I think everything is settled out here. Anyway, that is going to do it for today's episode. I will leave you with some cinematics as usual to enjoy of this actually nice area now that I installed that mod. And just a big shout out to everybody joining the channel lately. We have officially hit 800 subscribers on the channel, and I truly want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am so excited that we have reached that goal. I'm just insanely pleased with the growth that the channel has gone through over the past couple of months since the release of City Skylines 2. So thank you everybody for checking out the channel. And if you are watching and you liked what you saw, you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing so. If you like what's going on here and you want to see more of the city, feel free to subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on notifications so that you can see other videos related to the series and a couple other things that I have in store for the channel. Otherwise, I will leave it here for today. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.